Something wrong?
Something on your mind?
Yeah, a splitting headache. Feels like the world is running laps around me.
Any idea what caused it?
Could be a combination of dehydration and booze, but I have a feeling it's something else. I get these nightmares every once in a while. Visions of trauma now long past. The headaches usually follow.
What are they about?
Rather not say. It's nothing personal, it's just that, ever since I left the sweet roll alone with my 3 best friends and returned to an empty plate, I've had trust issues.
Alright. Sorry for your loss.
I just never thought I'd be backstabbed by my own soldiers like that. I trusted them, you know? Well, never again will I be taken for such a fool. Worst part is, I never figured out who did it. Was it an organized heist, or had one of them been operating alone? I'm afraid I'll never know.
Must have been some sweet roll. If anything I can do, let me know.
Actually, I could use some help. Not with the headaches, though. I've more or less accepted those as a certainty. It's with something else.
What is it?
I may or may not have promised the locals I'd kill an outcast for them. Truth is, I don't remember all too well. That night was wild.
Partying with the locals?
For the record, they call it a festivity here. If you ever find yourself at one, take my advice. The rum is not to be underestimated. Just after it graced my lips, I was chanting the age of aggression in my undergarments on the roof of a bamboo hut.
Did this outcast deserve death?
Something about murder, I think. Or was it seashell laundering? Honestly, I haven't the faintest memory. It doesn't matter. If I make a promise, I see it through. That's just how it is.
Really? Very well. I trust you.
I hadn't expected you to understand. Not many do. On a ship where I'm surrounded by preaching knights and pretentious vigilance, it's nice to not feel judged for once. You might very well spare me from insanity one day. I'll mark it down on your map. No rush, of course. I'm sure our target isn't going anywhere. Alright, this looks like the place. Would you mind waiting here?
We'll keep the exit secure. Fine.
Dragonborn, what do you need?
Wait here.
That's him. You want to do it, or should I?
You should talk to him.
What? Why?
Hear his side of the story.
Because we have to kill him. Why would I want to know him first? I don't need that on my conscience.
Well, I'm gonna talk to him.
Well, if that's what you want to do, I can't stop you. But you know how this has to end.
What do you seek?
Hello?
Who are you? Step back! Demon, step back!
You okay?
Okay. Yes, I...
Nobody on this side. Ah, poor bastard. See, this is exactly why we shouldn't get attached to social outcasts.
It's in the middle of a conversation.
And making great progress too. I think he even managed a coherent sentence at one point. I took no pleasure in it. Let's just get out of here, alright?
Where is his body? Deranged outcast.
What's the holdup? You... remember that maniac we killed earlier?
Yes.
Rumor has it he was involved with some ancient Daedric witchcraft called memory manipulation. The villagers want to discourage others from following suit, and I may or may not have promised to help them again.
Memory manipulation.
The ability to wipe certain elements of one's memory and replace them with a fictional past. I know, the practice is pretty obscene to me too. Not very reliable either, as we've witnessed firsthand.
How are you going to help?
They want me to post bulletin boards in each of the main villages, warning against the dangers of such witchcraft. Not a very effective deterrent in my opinion, but I agreed to it, so... yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing now.
You need to stop making these promises.
Tell me about it. It seems every time I throw back a few meads, I can't help but commit to these wild and gratuitous pacts.
If you make them while you're drunk, why keep them?
It just means a lot to me. Keeping my word, that is. I've only broken it a handful of times, most of which still haunt me.
What happened?
I'm sorry. I'm just not prepared to talk about it. Trust issues and all that. We have a community service to attend to, remember? Let's focus on that.
Keep that in mind.
Whenever you have time.
Did I not actually recruit Warden?
That should do the trick.
Ah, this pole here.
Whew, halfway done. This calls for a mandatory mead break.
I think you should give up drinking.
Need something? As I will. Think of this as the scenic route, complete with a brief interval of a tropical resort at no additional cost. After a little sawdust and nails, we'll be off to find your parents again, as promised. I don't know what kind of a map we were using to navigate, but it failed to account for massive plots of land. The path ahead was supposed to be clear, so I stepped away for a quick meat break. And what do I come back to? Raging waters, heavy rain, and an island that fell out of the sky.
You were drinking.
That's what you got out of it? Even sober, I wouldn't have been able to steer away in time.
Whoever made the map should lose their job.
You're telling me. Let's just say I'll be writing a very strongly worded letter to the halfwits who charted out these waters.
Alright.
Of course. Just one more. Almost there. Looks like we've drawn the attention of the local hag. Don't make any sudden movements. These things are unpredictable.
Such ignorance. Memory manipulation is a timeless practice, a gift from our ancestors. You only fear it because you fail to understand the importance of such an ability.
How do I put this? Neither of us care. We're just couriers of this operation.
And yet you still condone these lies? It is a harmless endeavor when conducted properly.
I don't know about all that. We've seen contrasting evidence.
If you're referring to the mental mishaps, that only occurs if the subject struggles, refusing to part with their memories. I went through the treatment. Surely you can see I've suffered no such mental toll.
Debatable. Still, you waste your breath. We're just the messengers.
Outlanders.
That's it. Well, until my next ill-conceived promise, at least. Thanks for the help.
Maybe you should drink less.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I drink because I make promises, and I make promises because I drink. It's the endless cycle that defines my life, or what's become of it, at any rate.
Why do you hold yourself so strictly to your word?
I guess it's just a form of dealing with the past. There's something I'm not proud of buried beneath all the mead and carelessness. Something I could have prevented if I just stood by a simple promise.
What happened?
It was during the war. I was an Imperial Tribune in charge of a small squadron of men. They were the closest thing I had to brothers. One day, the Stormcloaks had us pinned between a river and the mountainside. There were a handful of skirmishes. Few people died. Neither side gained any ground. Eventually, orders came down to evacuate the area. Not for my men, just for me. I remember how we sat around the fire before I left, reminiscing about our days in the 11th Training Regiment. That's when Quester Servius pulled me aside and requested something I'll never forget. He asked me not to abandon them to such a doomed fate, to stand beside them until reinforcements arrived. I looked him in the eye and told him I'd be back for them as soon as I was able. That was the last promise I ever broke.
What happened to him?
Stormcloak raiding party. 2 days after I rode off, they left no survivors.
Sorry to hear that.
Don't be. Not like you had anything to do with it. That choice, that promise, it was mine. No one else needs share that burden. We've got other things to worry about. I'd like to focus on them instead, if you don't mind. There's something ahead? I've been thinking a lot lately, which is a first for me, I know. But I'm starting to realize the flaws of my own ideology. Killing the man for the village shook the foundation of values I hadn't questioned in years. I've been using my word as a crutch, a way of funneling right and wrong into two easily distinguishable categories. But that's a foolish way to deal with the past, isn't it? I guess I only bring this up because the solution has been staring me down this whole time, and I've only now recognized it. Memory manipulation. My reliance on mead is just a result of trying to shut out the noise, free myself from remembering the men I left out to die. But if I erase that memory completely, I'll no longer need the alcohol, and as a result, I'll refrain from making these undesirable commitments.
Oh, we've seen the effects.
That's only if the subject struggles. I've spent a good bit of time researching the practice since our encounter in the cave. It's a lot safer than we thought.
Need to confront your past, not hide from it.
Because that's such a simple thing to do, right? I wish I could just accept it as easily as you suggest, but I can't. Drink wasn't my first choice. It's just the first that worked. If a permanent solution exists, I don't see why I should let it slip through my fingers. I'd like to give it a little more consideration before I commit. But I think it might be best. I'm tired of my past haunting me every hour of sobriety. Mead break, anyone? You're a lot different than I expected you'd be. Have I ever told you that?
What did you expect?
More egotistic and self-infatuated, I guess. Most of you hero types get caught up in your own importance. I didn't think the legendary Dovahkiin would be any different, but you are. We face a threat of immeasurable power, and yet you never let that distract you from the well-being of your crew. That's a trait even the best Imperial Tribune would struggle with. Not one I'd have expected from a fabled dragon slayer.
We're all in this together.
Well, whatever your reasons, you've earned my respect for all that's worth. Which is why I'd like to know if your views have changed any, as far as memory manipulation is concerned. You know what it could accomplish for me, but you also understand the risk.
Can't escape your problem forever. If you can't, you can't learn from what you forget.
I respect your counsel. I think you might be right. I can't continue to cower from a haunted past. It's time I accept and learn from the demons that pursue me. Perhaps then, this nightmare will finally end. Thanks, Dovahkiin. Not what I wanted to hear, but perhaps what I needed to.
Completed. Right.